will be somebody, will be create an impact in so many other people's lives. And I have some questions here for you. And I know a lot of people heard before, but I'm curious to see, and I want people to listen again. What made Eddie Bravo start doing jiu-jitsu? I know you saw the UFC, all of this. What made Eddie Bravo do those big
It was
steps?
UFC 2. It was UFC 2. When I saw UFC 2, I was 6 months into karate. So I was like balls deep in karate. I had one stripe on my green belt, or on my white belt. I had a white belt with one green stripe. And I really thought I was 23 years old, and I thought I was a bad motherfucker. I really did. I'm like, I've been training 6 months of fucking karate. You better not talk no shit. I thought it was a badass. I really did. And then I saw UFC 2, and I didn't know anybody in UFC 2. I didn't know Hoist. I didn't know anybody. None of that. No. But I knew there was a karate guy in there. His name was Minoki Ichihara. I'm like, okay, that's my man right there. That's my man. So Hoist, like, first he killed karate guys, or kung fu guys, karate guys. I hated Hoist. I wanted him to die. I'm like, he's killing karate. He's killing kung fu. I couldn't believe it. But then on the other side of the bracket, Pat Smith, he was a Muay Thai guy.
I know.
And I hated him more. I'm like, fuck that guy. I hated him. So by the time when they were in the finals, I'm like, okay, I'm a Hoist fan. He got me. Hoist got me. So Hoist, when he beat Patrick Smith, I'm like, okay, no more karate. I was convinced. I went from hating Hoist to loving Hoist in 3 hours. And then I knew there was I saw a jiu-jitsu school in the Valley in Los Angeles. It was on Laurel Canyon and Magnolia, but it was jiu-jitsu. I didn't know there was a difference. It's J-U-J-I.
Yes.
I'm like, what is that? So I went there.
Yeah.
I went there, and I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I quit karate. I go, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do jiu-jitsu. I saw the UFC, but then they had black gis on, and they didn't do that much groundwork. And I was just watching. I was like a guest watching. And then I asked the instructor, I'm like, where is the groundwork? And he goes, oh, you're talking about Gracie jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, isn't that the same thing? He goes, no, they're cousins. They're cousins, the Machados. They're here in the Valley. You want their number? And I was like, no, I don't care about that. I like what you're doing. I like the black gis. I like what you're doing. So I remember the name Machado. So I went in the yellow pages. This was 1994. There was no internet. I went in the yellow pages, and I looked, and I couldn't find anything, but I found Carlos Gracie Jr. I'm like, okay, that's okay. Let me do that. And then that was your school.
Yes.
And and that was it. And then I joined, and I never looked back. I fell in love with it the first day. I wrestled in high school, so I thought maybe this is prehistoric wrestling, or maybe it's super advanced wrestling. I wasn't sure. So when I went in there, David Meyer, he was a purple belt. David Meyer tapped me 137 times, and I thought, oh my God, I love this. I'm never going to quit this. And that was it.
Man, and would you ever imagine it would become this far?
No, I had no idea.
No.
I thought I was gonna be a rock star. I didn't think. I thought jiu-jitsu was just an exercise. That's all.
But the amazing thing is you become a star in so many other things too. And you still play music. You still doing the comedian that you love to do, and jiu-jitsu is on board with you the whole time. I think jiu-jitsu is the bridge for you to achieve all of those dreams that you have, and you still do, and you're going to continue to do. I think jiu-jitsu is what made everything ready. You know what? Now I can do those things that I really like to do. And I learned how to love and like jiu-jitsu so much.
Jacques, listen, I tell everybody all the time, even today, I was with some of my students today. I let them know, Jacques, fucks me up every time we roll. So people actually think that I tap you. Like, how many times have you tapped Jean-Jacques? I'm like, I have never come close to tapping Jean-Jacques. I tell people that all the time. They don't believe it. They're like, no. I'm like, you don't have any idea. I can't do nothing to him. The best, I remember, I swear, Jean-Jacques, the best I ever did with you was when the first time I smoked weed and rolled jiu-jitsu. I remember I lasted 5 minutes with you before you crushed me. I'm like, oh my God, I lasted 5 minutes. Weed is the answer. So that's what I started, because it took you 5 minutes to tap me, and I thought that was like the Olympic. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, I lasted 5 minutes.
But
That's the most I ever lasted.
Man, but in jiu-jitsu for me and for all of the students is a halfway to have to bully our students, to make them grow, you know? And I think all those things that we went through training-wise, it helps so much down the road now, because you are in the position that you become an instructor too, very successful fighter, very successful instructor. You know, you have champions, mats, MMA, everywhere here in the 10th planet, which is something that is still growing. That's the thing. I don't think you 10th planet reach their full potential yet. You know, I think the grappling world is still growing. But one thing that I'm amazed and very happy is in a very short time, let's be realistic, very short time, you made that whole impact with martial art. Because I remember when you come back to me from Abu Dhabi in Brazil, and you were brown belt, and I gave you my belt, and you said, no, I want to open a jiu-jitsu school, but I want to open a jiu-jitsu school no gi, which to me, or I understand that from this whole time, was the first official no gi jiu-jitsu school in America. Was yours, right? When on the bomb squad?
Well, not really. There was a couple others. But the difference was I got my black belt in the gi, and then I went no gi. That was the difference. There was some other no gi schools out, but they didn't get their black belt in the gi. There was Chris Brennan. There was Dave Terrell. There was a few other guys. I wasn't the first, but you know, for me, like when I tell people, like when they ask me, why did you decide to go no gi? For me, I never even thought I was ever going to open up a jiu-jitsu school. For me, like I said earlier, I thought I was going to make it in the entertainment business. I was brainwashed. I was totally suckered into the whole entertainment, rock star, be famous. That's what I thought. They got me. That's what I wanted to be. So I never thought I was going to open up a jiu-jitsu school. But every now and then, you know, Jean-Jacques, I was the no-gi guy at the school. I was the no-gi guy. I was the one that, after we trained, I wanted everybody to take out their gi so we could roll. I was the no-gi guy. So I thought that if I ever opened up a school, who knows, maybe one day, it's going to be no-gi 24/7. But I never thought I would. I never thought I would.
Do you want to know the difference why you became so well-rounded no-gi guy? Because a lot of people today, they misunderstand is when they say, let's show the basics. It is very difficult for you to do advanced technique if you don't have a solid base. Very simple techniques, the foundation of what we do on the ground. And I remember you, back those days with Todd White, with you, and I think Frank Matias sometimes. Yeah. We have classes three days a week. Then you show up at Todd's Nickelodeon place, and you guys doing drills for a few hours. Yeah. And I think all those few hours, it did count so much because you have such a solid base in the jiu-jitsu with gi, which made your transition for no gi like nothing. You know what I mean? Well, and I think that was one of the biggest difference because I remember you did some tournaments with gi, and you apply the same game you do with no gi. But people do not have ways to hold you, stall you without the gi the way they were doing with the gi. And I think makes even more visual for people to see all that. Back those days, I remember people used to say weird things. I said, no, man, I think my objective is always give my students tools. They can develop their own game, and I help them because it's very unique. You know, you create something very unique. I remember those days, and it took a little time to make things work out well, but as soon as it did, man, that's your registration right there. You know,
I tell everybody all the time. They say, why did you come up with your style? I'm like, I didn't come up with my style because I was trying to be original or I was trying to be different. I came up with my style because I was weak. My strength and conditioning work ethic was non-existent, and I had to come up with workarounds and tricks to work around powerful athletes. But you were the one. You were the one. Anytime I hit a roadblock, and I tell this to everybody all the time, whenever I hit a roadblock, anything I ask you, I say, Jean-Jacques, they're stopping me here. They're stopping me there. What do you think I should do next? Even though you weren't really necessarily playing my game, your knowledge of the mechanics of jiu-jitsu and the science of the body mechanics and all that, it was so high level that no matter what question I had, whether or not you played the game, you had the answer, and I always believed in the answer. I never doubted anything you told me, except for once, Jean-Jacques. You told me about a move I called a baby arm. It was twister side control. When they put their arm between your leg, you told me. And you never really played that game, but you were looking at me and you said, Eddie, there's an arm bar right there for you if you want it. I think that it's like, it wasn't something you ever did. You just looked. You looked at it and you said, you're missing an arm bar right there in twister side control. And I remember thinking, Jean-Jacques, maybe this time you're wrong. Maybe this time. One out of 1,000 times you're wrong. But you know what? You weren't wrong because I use that one all the time. Baby arm is huge. I'm like, I never. Then I think maybe one other time, I can't even remember. I doubted it. Your technique. And the one thing, before I forget, you showed me the triangle setup that I got royler in Abu Dhabi in 2003. You showed me that personally, that every move of that. And I drilled it, me and Todd White drilled it, and it became in our DNA. So when there was so much craziness going on in Abu Dhabi that when I did it, I didn't even know what I did. I thought right after the royler fight, I thought I got him with rubber guard. I remember I was backstage going, oh my God, I can't believe rubber guard worked on him. But then when I watched it later that night, I'm like, oh my God, rubber guard didn't work on him. I actually got him with Jacques, but I never, it was unconscious. I had no recollection. I didn't know how I did it until I watched it on tape. And I'm like, oh my God, I never remembered it. It was so fast. It was a flash. Total DNA.
It takes time for us to find our, I won't say comfortable, but our beginning position to make all your game go through. You know, a lot of people train most of their life and they never had that starting point. And I think in the early days of your training, because of who you are, the way you feel physically, the way you're more aggressive or less aggressive, you found that starting position. And that point on was the development of all of your game, you know? And I remember a time that you had a very hard time to pass people's guard. And you have also your guard that very few people were able to pass the guard. And so no, we keep doing that's your beginning comfortable position, which today you are well-rounded. If somebody pull your guard, you pass the guard. If you pull them guard, they're going to have to pray because more likely they're going to be there with you and you're going to get it. That's why I always...
Well, not my students, though. I got students, Jean-Jacques, my students, like my brown belts now, my brown belts fuck me up. Like they crush me. They know every inch of my game.
But you
And
know what?
they do what you do. They understand, because I tell them, I go, Jean-Jacques, Leo Vieira, and like 2 other guys are the only ones that go that pass to my left side. Nobody passes to my left side. Only Jean-Jacques, Leo Vieira, and a couple other guys. Now all my students, they're doing that now. And now I'm getting.
But you know what, Matt? That makes like, I think is you being a student, you being a fighter, and you became an instructor. And I think those 3 steps that was done to get the stage that you are, when somebody, a student, go and get you, which is something that naturally will happen to all of us, definitely. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later. It's the progress of that shows you how good instructor you are, because you continuously training, you continue to do your techniques, improve and get better. But the younger ones, the people that understand now they have your knowledge to simplify a movement that could be complicated, because they understand and you make them see how to do in those easy steps, which tells me that you are a very good instructor, because you have so many guys. And among those lines that you show them how to do, each one put their own style into the movement, which makes even harder now, because not only they understand what you show them, and they have their input into the technique. That's why it becomes from your movement. Now it's being a complement with one of your student movements. Then another one gets a similar movement. Another one gets a different movement. But that's the development of the art, which you can see now how many techniques out there, and how well you have your system. You have your system now that is incredible, because you can get to one submission and you have hundreds of ways to get to the same submission. And I think the addition of the students understanding how you explain gives them the choices. I want to go this way, it fits better for my game. I want to go that way, it fits better for my game. And I see, man, all of your students, when I see somebody fighting there, it's like, oh, he must be from 10th Planet. It's like a signature mark, And it's very, very few schools do have that. That? Very few schools have, because they might have one good fighter, but not so many, and doing very well in all areas, man. You have guys that title of UFC title matches. You have guys that are winning worlds. You have guys that are winning all grapplers tournaments. All guys winning all the events you've been putting out. They're all doing extremely well. Or your guys are always on the top 3 in every event. And that tells me that all that foundation that you have made you know so much knowledge that you create. My goal is I want to see you, and I'm seeing that, creating movements, creating the techniques, because you understand the principles of jiu-jitsu. And regardless, like gi or no gi for you, doesn't make any difference for the way you do it. I think you simplify taking the gi out. This way you have more mobility. People will actually engage more, which is the biggest problem today, right? People, they don't want to engage. They don't want to fight to win. They want to fight not to lose. And I think the whole idea, the whole impact that you create, and consequently 10th Planet in the grappling world is phenomenal, man. And I remember those beginning days that was not easy, Life wasn't as easy as it is today. Still a lot of challenges out there, but that's why I want to talk to you. I haven't talked to you in a long time, and I have some questions here. I know you for many years, and I think I kind of understood who you are, And I think a lot of people there sometimes they don't know who you are, because I think you are like crystal. I can see Eddie Bravo as Eddie Bravo is, You don't hold back. You say what you think, and you like it, great. You don't like it, great. That's what I think. Not many people have that attitude. We are humans. We are different, and if people ask me anything, and many times they come up to me to say anything about you, And I said, man, I know Eddie, you know, and I don't think you guys know who he is. You start with more about you, what you do, and let him do his thing. Now my question to you is, who is Eddie Bravo? How Eddie Bravo would say, I am this person? Who's Eddie Bravo? By Eddie Bravo.
A poor Mexican from Santa Ana, California. You know, the one thing that I make a rule for myself in everything, in every aspect of life, is to try my best to be unbiased about anything and everything. Whether it's music, whether it's jujitsu, whatever. You know what I mean? Because like when you grow up, when I grew up a Cleveland Browns fan, so everything Cleveland Browns I love. So no matter how bad the Cleveland Browns are one year and how good the Pittsburgh Steelers are, you could show me all the facts, every fact about how better the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback is over the Cleveland Browns quarterback, how much better the running back is, and you show me the yards and all the stats. It doesn't matter. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. It doesn't matter. That's an example of indoctrination, but it's fun. It's fun indoctrination. So no matter what you tell me, how bad the Browns are, they're still my favorite team. No matter how bad, how good you tell me the Steelers are, I don't care. I hate the Steelers. So that's an example of indoctrination. No matter, I don't want to hear the facts. I don't need the science. I don't need the facts. The Browns are my favorite team. And that's okay when it comes to football. It's okay when it comes to sports. But that's not okay when it comes to martial arts. That's not okay when it comes to, like, when you want the best music, the best martial arts, the best music. Now we got to listen to the facts. We got to strip indoctrination away. And if you can strip the indoctrination away and the bias away, and you look at what's best scientifically with the facts, without any bias, like a true detective, that's how you get to the best jiu-jitsu. That's the only way, in my opinion. So you can't look at jiu-jitsu like a football team. Like, no matter what, I like this football team no matter what. I like this jiu-jitsu team. When you're looking for the best technique, you got to look beyond the bias, beyond the indoctrination, if you want the best. And that's what I try to do. That's my focus. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, I'll take techniques from my rivals without hesitation. I will look at their techniques, I will look at them, and I would take them without any bias. I don't care. My goal is to have the most well-rounded, most effective, most efficient jiu-jitsu possible. And if you have any indoctrination with that, or any that's going to affect your analysis of the data. So that's how I try to I treat my music that when I put music together. I don't care who wrote the song. I don't care what band it is, because growing up, I was a big Kiss fan, and I like Kiss like I like the Cleveland Browns. No matter what album they put out, I was like, I love this album, even though it sucked. The album sucked. Kiss in the 80s without makeup, a lot of those. But I would look at it and I would say, I like it.
You know what I call that? What you just say now, when you say about Kiss and Cleveland Browns, we call that loyalty. You know?
Yes.
And that's what I got. That's how I always got from you since day one. Loyalty. You know? I think it's you'll never forget where you come from. We all have different backgrounds when they come from our lives. But today I can sit and look at you that you made it. You know? Everything that you have, you achieve, and a lot more to come. You deserve, because you put your soul, you have the perseverance, you have the discipline, you listened when it has to be listened, and you made it, man. You know, and it's very, very proud to see the growth of who Eddie Bravo was, and still be the same guy. I don't think you ever change the way we talk to each other since day one. You know, I think we end up appreciating each other even more, knowing that along the road, a lot of the little things that we have in a conversation, it made sense later on in our lives. You know, it's incredible. You know, I think I know who
I tell everybody.
Very few people know.
What the when people ask me what it was like training with you and learning from you and having you as my master and what it was like, I always tell people that no matter what problem I ran into with jiu-jitsu, no matter where my style took me, where my heart took me, where my DNA took me, you always supported me, and that's the reason I'm with you. I always praise you. I always call you my master, because you never try to steer me in a direction I didn't want to go to. You were fascinated with the fact that I was doing like weird stuff. You wanted to see where it went. You were like, I remember Johnny pulled me to the side and said, Eddie, your twister thing, that's fine. We like that. But now you got to start passing the guard. You got to start doing jiu-jitsu. And you came up and you told Johnny, right there, you came up and said, hey, listen, let him, because all I was doing was toe holds at the time. I saw a Ken Shamrock video and I was doing toe holds and twisters, and Johnny was concerned. And you know what? I don't blame him, because I tell my students the same thing. When they get too crazy. I'm like, listen, I love that crazy stuff, but you got to learn how to pass the goddamn guard. So Johnny told me that, but you cut in. It was like a movie. You came in. He said, Johnny, let him do what he's doing. We need this. We need crazy stuff in here too. And so I'll never forget that. I'll never, ever, ever forget that.
I'm always in favor that in our school have many different styles, because that make us well surrounded. You know, we have guys that play top games better than bottom. You have guys that likes half guard. You got guys that like full guard, close guard, open guard. And I think all of us, as in the process of learning, will develop some of the movements that becomes very personal. If we have the gi on, I would say around the purple belt time, that's when some of the fighters start developing their own creation, their own identity into the martial arts. And today, much faster than that. Today we see a lot of blue belts. I have blue belts in my school that sometimes have a harder time to pass their guard than some of the high belts, because they're so good in that part of their game already. You know, I think the information is out there in terms of people watching videos, and very few actually spend extra hours on their own practice and training. And you can see the difference when it comes to the whole group class and training. But it's incredible, man. Eddie, you know, you've been involved, and you've been around the UFC and all those fights and everything, and especially jiu-jitsu. How do you see, man, jiu-jitsu in the next few years? What do you see the picture on your head? The jiu-jitsu. We're gonna get bigger. We're gonna be the way we are. If then we didn't know we're gonna be held back right now. I don't know for how long, but where do you see how far jiu-jitsu will go? How far 10th Planet will go?
I think jiu-jitsu, when it for me, it was always about jiu-jitsu and how it looks in MMA. That's the beginning of jiu-jitsu, of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. It was me doing a little special little side mission on trying to improve jiu-jitsu and MMA from the bottom game. Because in the UFC, jiu-jitsu didn't have problems on top. There wasn't problems with jiu-jitsu guys passing the guard and getting to the mount. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the bottom game in the mount, or in MMA, the bottom game. Because the bottom game in MMA is a lot different than the bottom game in gi jiu-jitsu. In gi jiu-jitsu, no strikes. You're grabbing collars, you're grabbing sleeves, and full guard is not even important. You could win Abu Dhabi and never, ever play full guard. Full guard is the least important guard in jiu-jitsu. You don't even have to play full guard. If you don't like full guard, and somebody lands in your full guard, open your guard. Put your feet on the hips and start playing open guard. You don't have to play full guard. Full guard is optional. But in MMA, it's the most important guard in MMA. Look at Hickson. Look at Renzo. Look at everybody in MMA. They're playing full guard for protection. But the problem is if it's not important in regular jiu-jitsu, then when you play it in MMA, you're gonna be all defensive and not offensive. So I felt from day one, 10th Planet was a special operation to help jiu-jitsu in MMA for the bottom game. That was my plan. I wasn't trying to improve jiu-jitsu with passing or top game. That was fine. If jiu-jitsu guys got on top in MMA, they were fine. There was no problem. But the problem was the bottom game. So that's what 10th Planet was. Let's half guard, lockdown, dog fight, rubber guard, overhook, butterfly sweep, prison guard, 100%, all that stuff. I was trying to add to jiu-jitsu and MMA. And now, over the years, back then, we were always open to leg locks and heel hooks, but it was always risky. Back then, it was risky to think like, okay, if you spend all your time doing leg locks, it's very risky. In MMA, you might get hit. So there was no sub only back then. Back then, it was just MMA or IBJJF. So in IBJJF, heel hooks weren't legal, and in MMA, they were too dangerous. So there was no reason to get heavy into heel hooks. But then a few years ago, 5 years ago, sub only format came out, and now leg locks became the most important part of sub only. So now a part of the game that was not necessary because in points tournaments they weren't legal, and in MMA it was too dangerous. Now in sub only, it's the most important part. So it got developed. The leg lock game got so developed. It's hot. It's unbelievable, the leg lock game now. So now it's so unbelievable that now there's safe positions, safe leg lock positions that are good for MMA. We thought leg locks were bad for MMA. Some positions are, some still are, but there's a lot of leg lock positions that are perfect for MMA, good for MMA. So now what you're starting to see with Ryan Hall, Dylan Dennis, Gary Tonin, you're starting to see guys that will roll for Inosantos and do scissor sweeps and like Joe Lozon. And now I believe because of the sub-only movement, and that let the leg lock game flourish and evolve. And it's evolved to the point now where now it's gonna be a big part of MMA, because the last Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, which is Jiu-Jitsu with strikes, which is basically MMA Jiu-Jitsu, the last one, the guy who won it, Tom Halpin from Ireland, he's on Fight Sports. He's one of Cyborg's guys, but he's an Irish guy. He beat everybody. All 4 matches he won with heel hooks. Even Imanari. He even beat Imanari with the heel hook, with strikes. So now we're seeing, heel hooks. That if you know the entire system, you see that heel hooks are going to be big in MMA. They're going to be big.
A lot of people don't know, but when we learned jiu-jitsu back in the 80s, okay, was evident the main purpose of not allowing heel hooks in a tournament was injuries.
Yes.
It was the number one. The priority was people get hurt. And back those days, for you to have a knee surgery, basically your grappling career would be over.
Yeah.
But when I learned we always have the foot lock, if I cannot get this guy anything, I'm going to get in a foot lock.
Yeah, that's the best strategy.
We hold the foot lock as our last shot.
Yes,
and trust me, we learned and knew how to do it very well. And a lot of the fights that could not choke this guy, could not armbar this guy, we have different options in terms of bottom, but I'm going to get him in a foot lock. That's how we used to do in the 80s. Today became the first shot. Since the beginning, a lot of fights. First shot, people just boom, footlock, heel hooks, footlock, heel hooks, and became, man, a chess game. I'm amazed to see how many of the guys have such a resistance in their foot, on their feet, in their knees, because it's incredible. But the difference from those 80s were we saved the footlock for the last, we'd say, resource. And today I see different. Today I see right from the gun, bang, they go right for them after the foot and the legs. Evidently, the no-gi aspect is what is the longest part of your body with no-gi? That's your legs. You wrap your body around the legs, that person cannot run away from you anymore. And I think the evolution, like you just said, made footlock, and it was always effective, regardless of MMA or not. It's just of a matter how you do that you don't get smashed in the face and get the footlock. And I think right now we're in that stage in most of the no-gi tournaments, and even with the gi, you just see, forget about passing the guard. I'm going to take your leg, you know? And a lot of guys being very successful. But it's a good to see how the grappling world turned around a little bit. On the 80s used to be the last thing I try is a footlock. Today, the first thing I try is a footlock. You know, when I say footlock, heel hook, toe holds, anything linked to the leg. You know, it's I mean, it was good to live in those different moments to see the approach that
so much evolution
yesterday.
Today, Jean-Jacques, today, I was talking to my students today, and I gave them the whole evolution of the early UFCs, because the early UFC after UFC 2, grown-ass men, including myself, thought that boxing, I was a big boxing fanatic, but when I saw UFC 2, I'm like, oh my God, boxing's a hoax. Oh my God, striking's a hoax. Kickboxing is a hoax. I and all the people around me, we thought that punching and kicking was a joke and only worked in the movies. And then Marco Ruas in UFC 7, he leg kicked Paul Varlins. And I remember we were thinking, okay, all right, okay, maybe leg kicks work. Okay, jiu-jitsu and leg kicks. Okay, they work. Leg kicks work, but not head kicks. They only work in the movies. Head kicks don't work. And then Maurice Smith head kicked Conan Silveira, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
What? Maybe they weren't. We were grown men wondering if head kicks worked. Now we know, slowly but surely, Pete Williams kicked Mark Coleman in the face, and we're like, okay, I guess head kicks work, I guess. And then little by little, every strike got added, and now we're at where we're at. We're like, of course, like Kung Fu, karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, all of it works, of course. But for a while there, Jiu-Jitsu had us hypnotized. We're like, boxing doesn't work. I threw away all my boxing magazines. I had stacks of boxing magazines. I threw them all away.
I think it comes down to what is it? It's incredible in the fighting world is this. Let's see, one guy is very good, and he fights this guy, and he won easily. Then that guy that he won easily beat up the other guy. In our mind is that guy who beats him up easily is going to win the match against the other guy, because the guy he won just beat up the other guy. Incredibly, the matchup game, it makes the whole difference. Not really. That guy, he can be very good, but the matchup against that guy, because the way he play his game might be a big problem for him. I mean, it comes down now to the styles, how you play the style. Because I think we now understand that the main reason Jiu-Jitsu, the only way Jiu-Jitsu were able to come out to the martial arts world was proving the point that you must know how to grapple. Period. You know?
Yeah, for sure. That was for sure.
Once the point was made, now we see incredible athletes out there. We have guys, man, they doesn't matter to them standing up on the ground. They can do extremely well. They push, they kick, they wrestle, they grapple, they boxing. And I think now comes, we still, a lot of guys, when the fight gets very hard, they fall back to their, would say, foundation, which could be boxing, which could be grappling, which could be something else. You still have, you can see when the fight goes towards the end, like, man, he start playing ground more. That means he's going back to what makes him feel more comfortable. But it's incredible, it's the matchup game. And yes, you have the season of grapplers only doing great. Then have the seasons of guys that kicking the leg doing great. Then have the boxers. Then now we go, once in a while you keep changing. And I think that's the evolution of how well-rounded everybody's getting. But the point for us that start with jiu-jitsu is everybody does ground game. Regardless, they might not need it, but everybody does their ground game. For sure.
That's right.
Sure.
Jiu-jitsu changed everything. Jiu-jitsu changed everything.
I think jiu-jitsu, when I came here in the early 90s, brought reality, because a lot of people are so mixed match with movies, you know, and believe so much you fight 5 guys at once and all those things. And the reality is, you know, it's not like that. But I think jiu-jitsu brought the reality, was the shock. But I think we all today understand that was needed to be throwing out there the way it was. And look how many martial arts schools around the world, how many business, how many UFC born from jiu-jitsu is starting in a garage in America. That's how UFC born, you know?
Yeah.
It was,
and you know what, jiu-jitsu
thing. You know?
Jiu-jitsu was killing it the last 3 years. The last 3 years on Duck was the biggest years of my life with jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, 10th planet, bigger than ever, hotter than ever, growing faster than ever, and then Corona hits and everything stops. Jiu-jitsu was out of control before Corona. Remember the days on Duck? Remember the days when only like 5 people can teach seminars and make money? Now, the last years, seminars.
Do you remember I took you for your first seminar in Cincinnati, Ohio? Remember that?
Cincinnati. I remember. We went in, you took me. I couldn't believe you said you wanted to come. You asked me if I wanted to come. And I was a purple belt, and you wanted me to come to be your assistant. And my head blew up. I'm like, oh, my God. The Jean-Jacques asked me to be his assistant, and we went. And the school was in an abandoned, the biggest, like the biggest
24-hour fitness gym.
24-hour fitness gym. It was this gigantic gym, like the size of a mall. That was abandoned, but that guy had like one room for his jiu-jitsu. So we were walking through this abandoned, like death ship. And then we finally got to this little room and we did the seminar. I'll never forget that. Is that guy still there? Is he still there?
Yes, he does. He's still there. Yes.
Same place? Same place?
No. He moved around. No, he moved around.
It was scary. It was like a giant cruise ship that was empty, but there was one room where they were doing jiu-jitsu. It was scary. And I remember thinking, I remember when I went out and I did a seminar with you. I'm like, and it was a 4-hour seminar. And I'm like, how does this guy, how could he keep it going for 4 hours? Like, how do you prepare for this? I couldn't believe you kept going and going. I'm like, he's going to run out of stuff. And you didn't. And I couldn't believe it. And I thought, I'll never be able to teach seminars. Like, how do you do 4 hours of technique? That's incredible.
Remember?
And now it's like I can go on for like 19 hours easy.
Remember, I think on your first few seminars, you have to write down a piece of paper.
Oh man, my first few seminars, the whole plane ride over. I couldn't. I'm like, oh my God, what if I run out of something to say? I was freaked out. But now when I teach seminars, I don't even think about it until 1 minute before we start. I have no thoughts. I don't even think about it on the plane. I don't think about it anytime. I've done so many that I know that I'm going to walk on the mats and I'm going to figure it out. And then in my head, once I get going, in my head I go, I tell myself, I got this shit. I can't stop talking. I'm like a motor mouth.
But it's you start with one technique, then you make the whole seminar without.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now
I do seminars like on leg lock. I've done a couple on like random stuff. I've done a seminar on just leg lock defense for 3 hours. It's endless. It's endless. Jiu-jitsu is the best business to be in, because not only do you learn how to kill people and you practice killing people every day, which can save your life and the lives of your family members, but there's so many techniques. It's endless. You never run out of techniques.
Never.
I suck at more jiu-jitsu than I'm good at. There's so much.
And did you realize that a lot of techniques that you teach today, that you know how to do it, you actually do not use in your own game?
Oh yeah. I mean, I only like you always say, you only use a little bit of your game. You only lose a little. I got students I got blue belts that know they can teach seminars for 6 hours. They have so much knowledge, but when they roll, they only do like 3 techniques.
There we go, but that's true. Now, one question for you, Eddie. If somebody's looking today, start training jiu-jitsu, how would you say for him to approach the school? What mindset he should have if you approach the school and say, look, I never trained before, but I want to learn and I want to start training jiu-jitsu? What would you say to them? Or people that listen to us right now? Because you still, believe it or not, still a lot of people out there that they never train any martial arts, and they hear so much and they want to start. Then what would you tell them? Say, look, when you go to school, that mindset would be good for you.
You know what? When people ask me how to start, there's no right or wrong in jiu-jitsu. There's so many pieces to the game that it doesn't matter if you gravitate to one piece as opposed to another, or you start working on kimuras when you should be working on half guard, or you want to be a top player. Oh, I only want to be top. I never want to pull guard. Or guys that only want to pull guard, that's all they want to do. Or guys that only want to do leg locks, guys that hate leg locks. And the school, for the school to be healthy, in my opinion, you need a variety of everybody. You need everybody doing their own thing. And, then you all mix it up and you all get exposed to different games and all that. What I do when I teach is I say, listen, everybody, you're going to gravitate to your own game. You do whatever game you want. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. What I'm here to do is I'm going to teach you my game as a backup plan. So when your game doesn't work and it falls through, you'll have a good backup plan for you. But if you want to use the backup plan as your number one plan, I can help you with that too. If you say, hey, Eddie, I want rubber guard to be my number one game. I'm like, okay, let's do number one game then. But I approach it as you choose whatever game you want. I'm going to expose you to everything, but listen to me for your plan B. I'm going to give you a plan B. When your game doesn't work out, I'm going to have something for you for a backup plan. Sometimes it's a backup plan. Sometimes it's their number one game and their go-to. Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Everyone learns in their own special way.
Mr. Eddie Bravo, I mean, we know we always saying that we have to get together more often, that we were planning before this whole insanity happening right now. Yeah. I'm just very proud to see your growth from what we call a regular person, and in such a short time have such an amazing impact in the martial arts and in so many other people's life. Then I saw the growth from one regular guy to become a legend in the sport that we do. It's incredible to see that amazing transformation. That proves me that when I saw you for the first time, when you come and train, I was right. And I think after so many years teaching, you can tell when somebody walks into a school that person will be there for a long time or not. And I don't think you ever left any doubt of your dedication. A lot of people never, I don't know if they know that every single train that you did on those 3 days a week in the morning, Eddie used to go there, put his headgear, wrap his hair around. His hair used to be near his butt, a very freaking long hair, convincing him one day he cut his hair, you know. But had put the clock, and I never saw you train in less than 1 hour. Regardless, you get people, if you get people, great. If people get you, you just want to continuously learn how to deal with the up and down. I'm tired, but I continue to go. And I think all those things were building up to the level that you are today and understand how to teach, because you've been all the roads. You were a student, you became a fighter, understand how to feel when you're fighting. Then today you are the instructor that creates this, to me, is a revolutionary system that you have, because for a lot of people that they didn't know how this whole thing was developed on the early days by you, and see how you make it so easy for people to learn and a lot of techniques in the beginning are complicated, but once you master the technique, it becomes very simple for you to teach and make somebody else do it. I will let you go, sir. Thank you.
I want to say one thing, John.
Yes, sir.
I want to remind. I've said this before, and I just want to. It is very important to me that it was very, 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 very. Like, I wouldn't have performed like I did in Metamoris. I wouldn't have. Although it was technically a draw, I was very happy with my performance, and I hope and I think I made you proud and my students proud. And there's no way, like science, I could have performed like I did in Metamoris without you training me. There's no way. And I'm not talking about training me as a white belt and a blue belt and a purple belt. I'm talking about the Metamoris training camp. What you did to me is you waterboarded me with that Brazilian gi over my face, all that waterboarding and all the shark tanking and everything that you did, and the confidence you instilled in my head. I couldn't have done it without you. And every now and then when that match comes up and I watch it on YouTube, the most important part to me in all that, when I watch that match, is watching you in the background and your reactions. That's all I cared about. It's like your reaction when I make a move and I see you and I see your face and I know you're happy and I know I'm making you proud. That's all that matters to me. Those are my favorite shots, is you in the background and you looking over to your family members on the other side and giving them the little smirks, and you looking over at them and you saying whatever you're saying. That's my favorite part. Without that, that's just another role.
I think was and I would tell what one thing that I did, and I don't think people know, and I was hoping to see that because you filmed the whole camp, and I think it's a lot of very important things for people to know. I remember when you approached him, you would always train, but I did not feel from my side that you're training enough to feel very confident. And I think was my main goal there is the techniques, you have it. I will not change anything. I don't think anybody that trains or fights you for 20 minutes that are not trained with anybody from your organization that knows how to feel those pressures, those controls, they'll be in trouble. And I knew that your opponents, if doesn't have anybody to have anything similar, there'll be a challenge. But I think for me, it was just to build up just a little bit of your belief on that you can do it, And I think halfway through our training, you already achieved that top level. Because I remember the beginning was challenge, but I was halfway through, man. I could not find more people to train if you that you do not crash all of them. And especially after you're being tired, And I think it was an amazing experience. That's how we learn how to teach our students, And I think we did it together. And everything, without your discipline, without your perseverance, your dedication, everything that I did would not be turn out the way it did, because it has to have both of us involved into. And I think is from the beginning, the day one that I met you, you never change as a person in relation to all your friends, the people that I know. Evidently, you became famous. You made money. I mean, all those other things that you dream to do it for fame and all of this, I think one biggest difference today on this aspect was you did it for real. You did it on your own. You did with sweat. You did with blood, dedication. The day in driving the car there, you know that money was very short, you know, and you made it happen. I remember we paying the schools. I remember the challenge we have on the beginning for all of us. But man, boy, you made it, and I could not be more proud to see, because every student that comes to my school, I see as a one book. I mean, I have basically your life story in my library since day one into a lot of moments that we went through. And it's on the book of the shelf of champions, you know, this guy made it. And we try our best to make all of our students to get there. But some of them want more than others. And you did. You did. I'm very proud. And today, anybody ask me anything about Eddie Bravo, it's like, what can I say? You just look what he did. I don't have to say anything. Just look at what you accomplished. It tells it all. You know, you student, fighter, instructor. Now you organize all those events, like entrepreneur, and have all those things. Comedian, you know, and you have your own podcast. You have so many things, you know, because a lot of people talk, but they don't walk, you know. And since they won, for a lot of things that you say and you do it. And here we are. That's the best thing you say and you do it. Eddie, thank you, my brother. Looking forward to see you. And look, we're gonna have to teach people how to hug again. Hug is okay. Hug is not bad. And we're expert in hugging. That's what we do. Right?
Yeah, social distancing. Social distancing is going to go down as the dumbest shit of all time in human history. Can you believe that? Social distancing is the opposite of jiu-jitsu. Anybody that loves jiu-jitsu and social distancing at the same time needs to get their head checked out.
My goodness, man. And I know you know a lot of things behind that. That would be our next conversation. That would drive people insane. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Jacques. I love you, man. And I will see you soon. I'm going to be at your school very soon. As soon as this corona bullshit is over, I'm going to be there the first day. Trust me, I will be there.
We make it, for sure, Eddie.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Love you all.
Thank you, Eddie. I'll see you soon, brother. Take care, man. All right, everyone. And who would you like me to talk to next? You know, I have some names, some people that I'm waiting for their confirmation. But yeah, we're going to have some every night, well, one night here and there, chat with someone and have some great stories. All right? Good night, everyone. And wait and see who's going to be the next one. All right, guys?